his remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the UPDF, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, General J.J. Odong, the Permanent Secretary, Foreign Affairs, the ambassadors, ministry officials and staff, the RDC Kyankwanzi, Honorable Sendaula Kenya Christine, Woman MP, Kyankwanzi District, Honorable Ming Steveni, Honorable for Butemba Constituency, LOC5 Chairman, the CAO, religious leaders, district security officials, the district and local council leaders present, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of NALI, Your Excellency, allow me to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for finding time off your busy schedule to come and interact with our ambassadors. We at NALI are privileged to interact with highly experienced and knowledgeable senior citizens regularly, and to us, that is a learning experience. Indeed, we have extensively learned from their wisdom and expertise in matters of diplomacy. Your Excellency, I would like to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs for his wise decision to bring the ambassadors and staff to NALI to refocus on government priorities and positions regarding Uganda's socio-economic transformation efforts. This get-together will enhance the synergy and cohesion required for significant effect as they pursue political, commercial, and economic diplomacy. At the individual level, they have actively participated in morning exercise, and now they know how to operate the gun. Your Excellency, the organizers of this retreat created a good time for NALI to take them through ideological and leadership development orientation. And I'm sure, Your Excellency, they have not found us wanting. The environment was friendly, the lectures and presentations were highly interactive and engaging. We desire that other government agencies and departments borrow a leaf from them. Your Excellency, allow me at this juncture to inform you that NALI has an excellent working relationship with the district leaders, the local leaders, the security agencies, and the religious leaders. That Your Excellency explains why they are part of this function today. Once again, Your Excellency, you are most welcome. And I now take this opportunity to invite the PS to give his remarks. Your Excellency, for God and my country.
Asante sana.
Your Excellency, sir, the Honorable Minister, Honorable Members of Parliament, the LC5, the Director NALI, colleagues from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all protocol observed. Your Excellency, on behalf of the leadership of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the NALI administration, and the ambassadors here present, we take this opportunity to welcome you and thank you for according us time for this ambassadors retreat that started 10 days ago. So we started this retreat with a learning journey to various industries on Wednesday, 9th March 2022, with a visit to Namanve Industrial Park, followed by a tour of the Uganda Industrial Research Institute to appreciate your vision of industrialization of this country. On the next day, Your Excellency, we visited the Sugar Corporation of Uganda in Lugazi to eliminate any doubt that Uganda has capacity to produce extra sugar that we export in the region. We have been battling with the sentiments advanced by colleagues in neighboring countries that we import sugar and repackage it for export. The team is now aware and convinced that indeed we produce excess sugar that we export. Additionally, sir, the power that is generated at the sugar plant was appreciated for its contribution to the national grid, given that electricity is an important factor in industrialization. The team then moved to Ginger Industrial Park, where we toured Kiramoto Corporation Plant, and the purpose was to determine how our missions abroad can contribute to attraction of technology, transfer of skills, joint ventures, and mobilization of capital for the plant. Your Excellency, we proceeded to Mbale to learn from Sino Uganda Industrial Park before heading to Soroti to the fruit factory called Teju. In Soroti, we also found Pella Commodities, a newly installed grain processing factory that addresses post-harvest challenges, drying, and removal of aflatoxins from grain. This factory, we realize that will indeed be a game changer in our efforts to export quality grains across the region. In Your Excellency, we visited Meru Millers Industrial Park that produces 500 metric tons of oil per day. Lastly, on the learning tours, Your Excellency, we went to Kingfisher Development Area under SINOC to appreciate the developments in the oil and gas sector to reinforce our ability to mobilize opportunities across the oil and gas value chain in the missions to which we are accredited. Your Excellency, this tour has been a revelation to many of the ambassadors here who have been operating in their comfort zones, that is in places restricted to Kampala and their villages of origin. Your Excellency, during the tour, the ambassadors were able to understand what forms Uganda's interests abroad in tandem with the historical mission of the NRM to transform the country from a peasant society to a modern society. On the tour, the team was able to appreciate your strategic direction on infrastructure. They have been able to see your efforts in advocating for an increment in the supply of electricity, the reduction in tariffs, and the implication on industrialization. Additionally, sir, the road network was well appreciated by the ambassadors here. We moved from Kampala to Lira on tarmac. Sir, we thank you for the consistent effort in the development of the country's infrastructure that has eased attraction of foreign direct investment. Your Excellency, the main aim of the visit, as I said earlier, was for us as a team to appreciate the growth and development of the economy, to strengthen our commercial and economic diplomacy efforts and aspirations. Your Excellency, as you know, in the past we had marketing boards for coffee, for cotton, and for produce. These were weakened by the past regime and started seeking intervention from government for their survival and eventually collapsed. However, you did direct the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2011 to focus on commercial and economic diplomacy, which we now understand was to play a critical role the marketing boards did in the past. In other words, to market Uganda's products and commodities. To that end, sir, with your utmost support, especially when you visited the United Arab Emirates during the Dubai Expo 2020, the mission in Abu Dhabi has been able to coordinate a number of activities, but in terms of products and commodities, they have been able to get orders to supply 1,000 male cows per month, with the prospect of that being increased to 4,000 per month. The other order is for 50 metric tons of beans starting in May 2022, and many other requests that come through the various missions. Your Excellency, here in Kyankwanzi, we have studied the following. We did study ideology and the leadership philosophy. We studied civil-military relations, the harnessing of resources for empowerment and prosperity, logic as a tool of understanding reality, tourism opportunities in the country, commercial and economic diplomacy, digital and cyber diplomacy, the National Development Plan 3, investment opportunities in the country, enhancement of performance in missions, the NRM Manifesto, and the role of foreign service in maintenance of stability in the face of terrorism. These topics were facilitated by comrades from the mighty UPDF, the NRM Secretary General, and the representatives of the various agencies that came to educate us. Your Excellency, sir, allow me to note that even as we pursue our aspirations in commercial and economic diplomacy, we have had some challenges, some of which are internal, that the ministry is addressing. One of those has been lack of ideological clarity, and it is the reason we came here to Kyankwanzi to fine-tune ourselves and resolve that. The other relates to how we have been approaching markets. To address this, we have arranged this retreat in a caravan, that is the tour of factories, to ensure that we associate with the demands of industry such that we are fit for purpose. Unfortunately, sir, as you know, our ministry, Foreign Affairs, much of the work that we do is not within the country. We have suffered the entire budget for travel abroad that has been suppressed for both headquarters and missions abroad for the coming financial year. Additionally, sir, we struggle to convince our colleagues in the Ministry of Finance that joint permanent commissions are an important platform for us to resolve access to markets for our products and commodities. The budget for these activities have been equally suppressed even this financial year, despite the fact that colleagues in other countries are requesting that we have these joint permanent commissions. We have 3 requests so far, one from South Africa, one from Kenya, and another that you directed we hold yesterday for the Sudan. The other request, Your Excellency, relates to the known offers for convention centers that were given to you by the government of India and the Emir of Sharjah. These facilities, if developed, will increase and enhance our tourism potential. Request for time at an appropriate time to discuss these matters and perhaps come to a logical conclusion, including other projects that the country has been offered but cannot proceed because of the structural challenges related to land acquisition. Your Excellency, sir, as I conclude, on our way back to Kampala, we shall visit Kapeka Industrial Park and then the presidential farm in Kaumu to ensure that the ambassadors here assembled can also start participating in the 4-acre model that you have been advocating so that they become role models in the communities where they come from. With those remarks, Your Excellency, we thank you once again for honoring the invitation to our retreat, but allow me, sir, also to note the following events that happened within the team during our stay here in Kyankwanzi. Ambassador Joy Chikafunda made 70 years on the 15th of March, 2022. Ambassador Ronnie Baria made 61 on the 16th of March, 2022. Ambassador Miriam Black got a granddaughter and had to leave us for Amsterdam to support the young couple that gave birth to their first child. And on a sad note, Ambassador Galiwango lost his brother, but he elected to stay here with us. Your Excellency, we are preparing an executive summary of the outcomes of this retreat that we shall share with you for further guidance. It is now my honor and pleasure to invite the Honorable Minister to address us and invite you, Your Excellency. For God and my country, I thank you all.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors here present, the Director of the National Leadership Institute, the local leaders, officers and men of UPDF, staff of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, like the Permanent Secretary did mention, I would also like to join him in thanking you for honoring our invitation to grace the closing segment of the Ambassadors' Conference.
Asante sana.
As the Permanent Secretary has just stated, this time round, we at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs decided to do something slightly different, partly because we believed that these colleagues, the ambassadors, needed to know one another and to bond. And as part of this conference, the ambassadors have had a field tour, which the PS has elaborately explained. This field tour exposed them to some of the key economic markers of our country. And we did this because we thought that their excellencies would not effectively represent a country they did not know about. So we thought they needed to know this country which they are going to represent out there. On the second leg here in Kyankwanzi, the focus has been on deepening ideological orientation, and additionally, we thought they needed to get a little fitter. So we organized morning runs, exercises, and things of that nature. I believe that as we conclude the conference, the ambassadors are now better placed to champion our industrial and economic agenda to achieve. Your Excellency, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in line with the National Development Plan 3, the NRM Manifesto commitments, and our 2040 agenda, is continuing to play its part in making a tangible contribution to the security, stability, and prosperity of our country. Our efforts at the bilateral level, as well as the multilateral level in the recent period, has included the following, but not limited to this only. 1, we have been contributing to the participation of Uganda at Dubai Expo 2022. This will now see the foreign direct investment inflow from UAE to Uganda rising from $600 million in 2018 to now $3 billion in 2022. The second effort and contribution we have been involved in is working with key stakeholders on a committee overseeing the implementation of the Joint Infrastructure Road project with the DRC. This, Your Excellency, as you know, will open up new opportunities for improved security, improved trade, investment, and integration of our region. The third activity in the recent past we have been involved in is engagement with bilateral and multilateral partners in mobilizing their active support particularly for Operation Shujaa, that is aimed at neutralizing the terrorist threat of ADF. The fourth activity we have been involved, Your Excellency, is that last January, faced with a negative narrative about our human rights situation here in Uganda, I led a delegation to the Human Rights Council in Geneva, where I shared with the UN membership our experience and commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights. The fifth area, Your Excellency, that we were involved in is the organization and participation of the C10 meeting that you graced in Munyonyo. Last February, Your Excellency, Uganda was elected to the AU Peace and Security Council for a 2-year term. Our election was a recognition of our Pan-African credentials and also the important contribution that Uganda has played and continues to play in regional peace and stability. The seventh activity that we were involved in, Your Excellency, you recollect, during the middle of COVID-19, there was a threat that Ugandans and Ugandans would not be allowed to travel to Britain and to UAE. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs engaged the British and the United Arab Emirates authorities in lifting these travel bans, which would have had an adverse effect on investor and market confidence in Uganda. Your Excellency, our active engagement within and outside the region is critical for the ministry to deliver on its mandate in this post-COVID-19 period. Although we have seen the opportunities that technology has provided by the use of virtual platforms in how we relate with other countries, we have also seen the limitations technology presents. The few important milestones I've just enumerated above in different areas would not have been possible without interacting physically with our regional and international partners. Regrettably, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs continues to face severe funding constraints, which makes it difficult in getting it to deliver on its mandate. For example, Your Excellency, here in Africa, we have the Joint Permanent Commissions, which are frameworks for our bilateral cooperation in various fields with African countries. The JPCs provide a unique forum to, among other things, negotiate for greater market access for our goods and services, and also for our private sector to engage with their counterparts in these countries which we interact with. Yesterday, Your Excellency, you met the head of state of Sudan, His Excellency General Abdel Fattah. And as the PS has just reported, you agreed to reactivate meetings of the joint commissions. Indeed, similar agreements have been made with your counterparts to hold JPCs with Algeria, DRC, Egypt, Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, South Africa, South Sudan, and Rwanda. However, sadly, all these JPCs have been frozen due to lack of funds. Beyond that, our travel has been prescribed to enable us to, in fact, make it difficult for us to proactively engage in order to advance our vital interests. Your Excellency, this is a matter that requires your consideration. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is contributing in a tangible way to the economic development of our country, and it is my humble view that it deserves reclassification. In my view, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is a productive ministry and not a consumptive ministry as it is classified as of now. In the industries and oil fields that the ambassadors visited, for example, they have identified finding markets for the products made, attracting capital investment, obtaining appropriate technology and capacity gaps, among others, as some of the things that needed their attention and will engage them for some time to come. And these activities are geared to support our industrialization efforts. With the requisite resources, this work that I have just mentioned will be made easier for my colleagues, the ambassadors, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Your Excellency, finally, once again, I wish to thank you for the support and guidance that you have given the ministry over the years. At this juncture, I wish to assure you of our commitment to deliver in securing the future as pledged to the people of this country. We shall continue to work with all stakeholders in the effort to promote a one government approach. But we will also continue to work with the private sector. That is, in our view, and as you have always advised us, is the engine for growth. Your Excellency, the ambassadors here present, from as far east as Tokyo and Canberra, and as far west as Washington, Ottawa, and as far north as London, Copenhagen, Moscow, and as far south as Pretoria, these ambassadors have showed great resilience and have been very resourceful throughout their stay here. I want really to congratulate them. Once again, Your Excellency, I want to thank you for coming to honor this conference with your presence. It is now my singular honor and privilege to request Your Excellency to address Their Excellencies, the ambassadors and members here present. I thank you, Your Excellency.
The Honorable Minister, Permanent Secretary, other leaders, and Their Excellency, the ambassadors, and the staff of NALI. I thank you for inviting these foreigners to come in the affairs of Uganda. Is it Ministry of Foreign Affairs or is it Ministry of Foreigners in the affairs of Uganda? And I congratulate the ministry for attempting to domesticate these foreigners. I hope the attempt will pay off. There's no doubt that foreign affairs can be a productive sector, because for a long time we have been telling you that foreign affairs is a sector of attracting investments, attracting tourists, and trade. So you would say ITT, investments, trade, and tourism. You could even add technical cooperation, especially soon after independence. A lot of Ugandans used to go out for education, for accessing universities abroad. But the problem is that the actors had not understood this. They would just go there and sit in the offices and drink champagne. So we also forgot about them. And many of the efforts you see, like those factories you are visiting, very few of them have been from the efforts of, I can actually mention them, the ones which have been from, because I follow that very well, very closely. Many of those factories, the Basoga say, Kakunguru, Semei Kakunguru went and planted trees in eastern Uganda when he was there working for the colonial government. But the Basoga who came later, they say, Jamera Jeni. The Basoga said that the trees grew by themselves. Jamera Jeni. Now, many of those factories you see, Amakwero Gamera Geni, many of those people just come direct here to come to State House. That's why they come to State House. Come to State House, then I give them people to work with. Then the people to work with sometimes ask bribes from them or delay. Then I come in, there's always a big struggle. For instance, like now, I hear that there is a shortage of, very soon you will have no soap to wash. So I don't know what you will do. All these Ugandans not washing will not be a good idea. But the problem starts with, first of all, those the people, and in order to make soap, you need something called tallow. Tallow is something that comes from either animal fat or from oil.
That land has been there up to now. I don't think they have actually started. Then later on we gave them land in Sango Bay, big land. But up to now they have never started. So the only production of the oil is in the Kalangara, which has helped the locals to become rich. They are now all rich. When I last went to Kalangara, one of the women spoke to people said, "Impulse Abapunda Amasageta Rabanatero Spendisa." But probably the sellers of paraffin are going to go away from Kalangara because nobody is using paraffin now anymore. People are no longer using Tadoba or Hurricane lamp because they are using electric solar, so they have money from palm oil. But the problem is that the oil which Bidco is producing is only 20% of what Uganda needs. So that's why you hear that the price of soap has gone up, but this would not have been the case if people were executing their mandate. This is not the problem of palm oil is not just foreign affairs, there are other people whom we shall go for and deal with. Because this problem would not have been there, we would now be exporting palm oil. But it's never too late. We are now saying that by these people coming from heaven to earth here, that they are changing. Very good. But when they ever do, praise be the Lord. Now, in order to also add to the rumored change now, because it's a rumor, there's a rumor that the foreign affairs has now become no longer champagne, but has become productive. The one who has been very active has been the ambassador in Dubai. The other young politician, the one who was a politician, Chivedi, that one has been very active. I'm trying to remember others. It's not easy. Those can be careful. This means no, there was Major General Muhesi. Major General Muhesi, when he was in New Delhi, he met an Indian, I don't know how they met, who was going to South America to build a milk factory there. And because that Indian wanted to produce a protein out of milk, that protein is called casein. Casein is usually in medicine, in food supplements, and so on. So Muhesi said, "Why do you go to South America? Why don't you come to Uganda?" The Indian had never heard of Uganda. So Muhesi was able to divert him, and he now came and built a factory after the Antonde on the way to Mbarara producing casein. So there are some few cases where the foreigners have helped the national affairs. It's supposed to be foreign affairs. There are some few cases. But now it's good, you have come here. Maybe this was part of the problem. I don't know why the others have not done it. You have been around, you have toured, you have seen. So the story is simple. First of all, here where you are, Kyankwanzi. That name, Kyankwanzi. I don't know why they call it Kyankwanzi, but Kyankwanzi in Runyoro Nyankore means beads. Beads. What they call Embila in Uganda. The glass beads, which people, women put on as the necklaces. That's what Kyankwanzi means. So I suspect the reason they call this area Kyankwanzi, you can see it is flattish, especially on the lower down. And when it rains, I think there's a lot of flooding, water stagnating in the flat areas. And when water stagnates, the sun rays hit it, you see it is shining like in Kyankwanzi. That's what I suspect. What could be the reason? But now you can see the haze. This is the desert sand. This is from the Sahara. This what looks like mist. This is sand. This is sand from the Sahara. And I was watching on TV the other day, they say this sand has gone to London. Even the London have eaten some of the sand. So the modern people need to be very serious about so many things. When you see desert sand arriving in Kyankwanzi, that is something that should wake us up. But since you have come to touch base with Uganda, the story of the NRM is a straightforward story. It is a mission-oriented story. And it is anchored on 3 points. Number one, how do you create prosperity for the people of Uganda and people of Africa? Prosperity. Because those two words you are making, they all have to do with prosperity. To get a job so that you get a salary, to have or to own a factory, to modernize your farm, like you will see on the small farm of Kaumu, where for the last 60 years, more than 60 years, I've been trying to advise the villagers to change from traditional to modern. So prosperity, how do you create prosperity?
Secondly, how do you create strategic security? You're talking of Congo and all that. There's a lot of chaos in Africa now. In Niger, in Mali, in Cameroon, in Burkina Faso, the whole of that area is, people are dying, running away. Mozambique. There's a reason why those things are happening. So that's the second reason. How do you get strategic security? The Sheikh was worried about the Europeans finishing one another. And he prayed for them, says, you bring blessings here. If the Europeans are tired with prosperity, bring it here. And then fraternity. Those 3 points. Prosperity, strategic security, and fraternity among the African people. Now, when we were at independence, there were 3 political parties. Unfortunately, those parties were all based on identity. On identity of either tribe or religion. DP was a party for the Catholics. Catholics said we should form our party because we are Catholics, DP. And then you had the UPC as a party for Protestants with some Muslims. And then you had Kabaka Yeka as a party for Baganda. Now, straight away that created an immediate problem. Because once you take that line, you can never get enough numbers to win. So when they went to the elections, the parliament was made of 82 MPs. So UPC got 37, DP got 24, Kabaka Yeka got 21. But to get majority, you had to have majority of 82, you had to have at least 42. So none of them could get majority because they had fractured the people along sectarian lines of tribe or religion. So it's a non-viable, and this is the problem you hear in some of these places. When you hear that Somalia has problems, that's exactly the problem. Somalia, even all the other countries which have problems, they all start from failing to answer what is important. Is it identity? To emphasize, I am a Muganda, I am a Munyankore, I am a Elangi, I am a Catholic, I am a Protestant, I am a Muslim. Is that what will bring, you remember, prosperity? Because we want prosperity. So, when you identify, when you emphasize identity, are you going to create the prosperity? And the answer is a clear no. First of all, you will not even be viable. before you even bring prosperity, even to be viable, you will not be viable. That's how the UPC and Kawaka Yeka tried to form Omukago alliance, which lasted only 2 years and it collapsed. So that's how some of us were members of those groups. Some were members of UPC, some were members of DP. A few were with the Kawaka Yeka, like Mchara Njuba. But we said, these ones, what they are saying is not correct. Because the question is, how am I to be prosperous in my family or in my business? Like if you take the Banyankore as a group, you say, you Banyankore, how will you be prosperous? The answer would be, we shall be prosperous because we are cattle keepers, like these ones here, or in Kyankwanzi here. Many of the people are cattle keepers. And there are some crops people on the other side of the road. So, if you are cattle keepers, how will you be prosperous? Oh, I will be prosperous by producing milk, producing beef. Banyankore also produce bananas and selling them, because that's how I become prosperous. I produce what I do best and sell it. So prosperity will have two players. We'll have a producer of a good or a service and a consumer or a buyer of a good or a service. The answer is yes. Linked by infrastructure, the other infrastructure you talked about, the roads. So the two, the producer of wealth and of service, a good or a service, and the consumer, the buyer, but linked by infrastructure. But the problem is that this Munyankore is producing milk. The neighbor is also producing milk. A cannot buy from B. B cannot buy from A. Why? Because they are producing similar products. Not for the Wananga Banyankore. The Munyankore doesn't buy from me. I don't buy from him. So what do we do? How do we get wealth? The answer is that there are people in Kampala who don't bother to go to the bush to run around with the cows, spend the whole day. They are busy doing other things. They are busy trading, owning shops. They are the ones who buy the milk, the beef, the bananas. The Kampalians are the ones helping the Banyankore to be prosperous by buying what they produce. But also, the Banyankore help the Kampalians by buying the products of the shop. Because the shopkeepers in Kampala, they are selling sugar, they are selling clothes, they are selling agricultural inputs, which the Banyankore buy. So, the two groups sell to one another. In other words, the two groups, the Kamparians, the Banyankore, support each other's prosperity. Oh, so what is crucial is not identity, as people were telling us, but interests. The interests of the people, the legitimate interests of the people. So that's how the NRM, when it was still a student movement, in the 1960s, we said, from 1965, we said, no, you people, you are misleading us. What is crucial is not identity, but interests. And that's why we said, no. Don't tell us again about tribes and religion. Yes, those are important for social affairs, marriage, and so on. Religion, when we go to heaven, even here to conduct ourselves well, but for prosperity, it is interests. Ugandans need one another. The cooking oil we are talking about, the one which is now, we are now in danger of having no soap. So I don't know how people will go into the buses if they don't wash. It will be terrible. The people who are producing cooking oil, the vegetable oil, are the achoris. Do you know how achoris look like? Have you ever seen achoris? Have you ever seen achoris, you people? It seems you don't know how achoris look like. Let's see one achori. Do we have one here? Just one achori. Come here. Banange. Timuri muchori wano. Mutswaziza. Only Oriem was the one. That's the simsim. I would have made the language stand up, but I can't. Because the languages are not the ones producing simsim. It is the achoris from up there. Muchwini, those places, they produce simsim. The language said it. Because when I went to Namukora, the Achoris were very angry. They said, we didn't know here, we produce simsim, and you get, I think, 1,000 a kilo or something like that. Then the clever language come and bite and take it, and they said it as something else. By the time it gets to Kampala, it is now 10,000, 10 times more than in Namukora. So the people of Namukora, their prosperity is supported by the people of Kampala, of Uganda, who buy what their charities produce. This is the story for the whole country. So that's why, therefore, you hear of the 4 principles of the NRM. Principle number 1,
Because the mission is to deal with the issue of prosperity, deal with the issue of strategic security, deal with the issue of fraternity. But what principles do you follow to achieve that? Number one, reject politics of identity, emphasize politics of interests, which lead you to love Uganda. You must love the whole of Uganda. Why? Because you need the whole of Uganda. Why? Because it is crucial for your prosperity. You can see now the Walego. Walego? Who know our language? Walego. What is Walego? Lego. Who are the people who know our language? Come forward, you, the one who has put up your hand. What is Lego?
I'm Ruth Ache from Ottawa and from Lango. In Lango, Lego is prayers.
Very good. So you have seen my prayers. Now the rain has come. If it rains, then this dust will go away. It is the dust it is the rain which can clear this dust. So, Lego Mewa, is it Lego Mewa? How do you say my prayers? Lego. Doreen, is the other Chogo girl here? Come on and help. How do you say my prayers? Lego Mewa or what?
Your Excellency, I'm Doreen Ruth Amule from Amolata District, Kyoka.
I'm the one who called you, so I know you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, when I say Lego na, which is what you are saying, is my prayers.
Oh, so this is Lego na.
Yes.
And Mewa?
When I say Lego wa, it means our prayers.
Okay. So this, because you didn't know, this is Lego na, this is mine.
Thank you for the prayers.
Apoyo, apoyo. So, that's why, therefore, principle number one of the NRM is patriotism. Love Uganda, love the whole of Uganda. Don't listen to anybody. Patriotism means patria. The father there from Kyankwanzi can tell you that it is from Latin. It has got to do something with the father, patria. So patriotism is when you love your motherland or your fatherland. And why so you need to love Uganda. Why? Because you need Uganda. Why? In order to ensure your prosperity. How? By the combined market of Uganda. That's how you can get your prosperity. So that's why we say principle number one is patriotism. So as you go in your, whatever you are doing, when you are interacting with foreigners or Ugandans in the diaspora, you need to have that clear in your head. But secondly, that's why the Ugandans, when they are talking, they say, "Tuwatukyali yao." You know, Ugandans have enough time. It is as if they are sitting doing nothing. And then tuwatukyali yao. as we are still sitting there. Then we discover that even the internal market is not enough. The internal market, we thought the internal market of Uganda would help us solve our problems of market so that we sell our products. As we were still there, we discovered that the internal market of Uganda is not enough. That's how, fortunately, you visited the sugar and you saw. The production, of course, when we started in '86, there was zero production of sugar. But now, the production of sugar of Uganda is now 600,000 tons. But Ugandans are drinking only 380,000. So there's already a surplus of 220,000. So you get my people, Abasoga. Ebikado Kamara, the sugar cane, some of them were drying in the garden because the internal market was not enough. So that's why NRM, long ago, when we were still in the bush, we had told you, you people, love Uganda, patriotism, principle number one. But even loving Uganda is not enough. You must love Africa. Pan-Africanism. That is the second principle. If you want to be prosperous, if you want to get out of poverty, you better love Uganda, but also love Africa. Pan-Africanism. That's what we're telling you. From the 1960s, these principles are not. In 1968, I visited Mozambique when I was a student in the university to show support for Frelimo when they were fighting the colonials. Because we had already seen that there's no way Uganda can be all right if the rest of Africa is not all right. So that's why we say, please, from patriotism, you must add Pan-Africanism. Why? Because you need Africa, you need the whole of Africa in order for you to be prosperous. You, the Musoga, Erimunda, ewe ifema yuge, ikitierera, otiemi eyo, orukuria amaido, aye olnokumanya nti Uganda nkulu, Africa nkulu. That's what we are telling you. NRM, from the 1960s, we are telling you that in order for you to be prosperous, you need to love Uganda, you need to love Africa. And when you hear anybody talking sectarianism, that's an enemy of the people of Africa. Religion, tribes, what? Oyomulabe. But then, also, but part of this ideological disorientation is really because of sleeping. Do you have some Bagisu here? Do you have a Mugisu? Let's see how the Bagisu look like. Oh, Mboino Mugisu. Come forward. Waneha? Okay. You have ever seen how Bagisu look like? That's one of them. What do you call sleeping in Roma Sava?
Your Excellency, hukona.
Now you hear how they are messing up the whole language. Hugona, wanyara, you go and sit. You have had Olive Oneka saying that in Masava, sleeping is called hugona. Do you have some Banyankwere or former Banyankwere before they became foreigners? Do you have some here? Some Banyankwere, where are they? Okay, come, the one who is standing. That's Chikafunda. What is Kugona in Nyankore?
Your Excellency, no kugona.
What does it in English?
Snoring.
Aha. Sit down.
Thank you.
What the Bagisu call sleeping, the Banyankore call it snoring. Kugona is snore. Obo mu Luganda bakita kufuruta. Abaganda bakita kufuruta. So, part of this ideological disorientation, when you hear people talking of tribes, religion, what? It is because they are hugona. They are asleep. They are doing nothing. Like in Somalia, you find people killing one another because of clans. It is because they are asleep. If they were to wake up, for instance, they are asleep because they are doing nothing. Like for instance, my father was born, I think, 1916. And the man stayed there. This one, which we are campaigning against, these days we are campaigning against Okorra Echida Kyonka. Okorra Echida Kyonka. Working only for the stomach. Teach, me each keken. We are campaigning against that. Because when you are only working for the stomach, you may not even know the importance of Uganda. Because you are doing nothing. A Somali, if he's doing nothing, just producing for the stomach, he may think that one hill is enough because his goats can graze on one hill. My father we estimate he was born 1916. And that man was outside the money economy for much of his life. When we were going to school, he would take one bull to the market, sell it, pay our school fees. Didn't need much money. Until 1989, you can see that time he would have been what? 1916. So it was only 1989 when we helped those Banyankore to commercialize milk every day. Because before, the Kampala people were drinking milk from Denmark. Can you imagine? The milk which was being drunk in Kampala was from Denmark.
the Uganda Dairy Corporation would bring powdered milk from Denmark, mix it with water in Kampala, and stamp the Uganda Dairy Corporation. The only dairy there, the only Ugandan thing there was water. So, Mr. Kaguta in Rwakitura had no link with Kampala, with Uganda. He was just there, Mr. Kaguta. With his people, they are just drinking their wagwa, what they call a marwa. Not involved so much with Uganda. But when we said, why should the milk come from Denmark to feed the people of Kampala, when these Banyankwere have potential to sell their milk to Kampala? That meant that milk was going every day. And I could see Mr. Kaguta now waking up, knowing that he's really part of Uganda. So, part of the ideological confusion is from the who gonna. If you are doing nothing, you don't know. It's like if I am asleep, even if a snake comes, enters the house, it can bite me and kill me and I will die very nicely without knowing how I died.
Microphone. Hello. Hello.